The way we do that, now you can hear me, is by reading the Bible, right? So we're learning Greek so that you can read the Bible, so that you can get to know God better, so that you can love Him more. We're not learning Greek so read the Greek New Testament, right? That's why we're doing it. Now that, for my mind, that shapes and changes my whole philosophy of what I'm teaching you and how I'm teaching you. Because my goal is to get you to read the Bible. There are other people who will teach Greek in different ways. If you went to a different college, particularly at the moment, it's pretty trendy amongst us Greek lecturers, right? There's a whole move when we get together and we have drinks and we talk about, our students and all this sort of stuff. There's a whole stack of them that say, no, the way I'm going to teach Greek is conversational Greek. And they'll walk into the class and they'll start talking to you in Greek. And they want you to learn to be able to speak in Greek and to be able to chat. And your assignment will be to be able to prepare to stand up in front of class and introduce yourself and tell us about your family in Greek or something like that, right? And that's what we'll try and get to at the end of summer school. That's the way they'd teach Greek, right? That's not me, right? Because my goal is not to get you to have a conversation about your pet cat in Greek. Because I don't really care about your pet cat. Well, no, that's not true. I care about you. But I don't care about you trying to tell me about your cat in Greek, right? I care about you being able to read the Bible. That's the most important part. So, pronunciations and stuff like that, not going to get too hung up on about it because we're not having a conversation, right? It's about reading. You've got to be able to learn. We've got to know the words and we've got to learn the sounds and stuff like that so that we can say them in our mind and we read. It helps you read, right? You've got to be able to do that. But we're not going to have a conversation. You'll see in Duff, if you go to Duff, you've got a Duff now. If you go to Duff and you go to page 30 in Duff, you'll see that there's a whole stack of exercises at the end of every chapter. By the way, there's a whole stack of exercises at the end of every chapter in Duff. Just to highlight that to you. Very worthwhile doing. You want to practice, you want more work, there's always more you can do, right? Go through those practice exercises. Exercises Exercises set A, the answer is at the back. Exercises set B, no answers in the back, right? So that students can't cheat. But if you want to be extra keen, go do them. You want to do exercises B, send them through to me. I'll send you the answers and stuff like that, no problems whatsoever. That's great, but those exercises are there. But you'll see at the bottom of each one of those exercises, there's English sentences for you to work at translating back into Greek. Okay, now I get the idea behind it. The idea behind it is that if you can do that, you might get better at Greek. Same with the speaking. But I'm not concerned about that because I'm concerned about you reading Greek, not writing Greek. Your focus is on reading the Bible, right? And so that's going to change the way we do stuff. That's going to change my whole focus. Is it about getting you out in the wild as quick as possible, into the Bible as quick as possible, translating it as quick as possible? Other people, when they come to a quiz, for instance, at the end of summer school, they're going to say, I need to find out whether this person really knows their Greek well enough. And so they're going to give you a sentence and they're going to make up some rubbish sentence. The soldier went into the prison and set free the dog, who then went and chopped off the head of the beast before saying goodbye to his neighbour, right? Or something like that. It's just rubbish, right? And they'll get you to translate it. And they're like, well, if you know your Greek well enough, you should be able to translate that. With no context, no nothing, no anything like that. And I'm like, see, I just don't get that. I just think that's mean, right? Because I want you to read the Bible. That's what I want you to do. And so if the context gives you some clues, because you know that we're trying to read the Bible and the context helps you learn, helps you know what's going on in the sentence, I'm okay with that. That's great. Because that's what we're trying to do, right? Okay? So if you're working on a translation and say a quiz at the end of the week, next week, hypothetically, and you work on your translation, you've got it together and you've put it out there and you've gone, yes, here's my answer. Jesus bowed down and worshipped Satan. I think I've got something wrong, right? Okay? You get, like, at that stage you realize I've translated, because Steve wouldn't do that, right? Other people would do that, because I just want to know whether you know your Greek well enough or not. But I'm like, no, that's just crazy. I don't do that, right? I got 4 boys. My wife homeschools the boys, as I said. So we've been working. We teach all our boys how to read, right? And if you've ever been with young kids when they're learning how to read, you know what it's like. There's always a book, right? There's these kind of books. And you know, on the front, the first page, you'll say, I saw a, and then on the other page, you'll say, I saw a dog. And there'll be a picture of the dog on the page, right? And then you'll turn the page and say, I saw a fish. And there'll be a picture of a fish there, right? And you turn back. Okay? So as far as I'm concerned, that's the way people learn. Yeah? Context. I don't know a single book that's helped little kids learn how to read that says, I saw a dog, and then it's got a picture of a lion there. It's like, I don't care, I just want to know whether you can read properly, I'm going to trick you, you know? It's like, I saw a cat, but then it's got a picture of a fish there. I'm like, that's just messed up, that's cruel. Punishment, that's what that is. Right? No one teaches kids like that, so why should I teach you like that? Context is your friend. Context is great. So if the context helps you figure out the translation, as far as I'm concerned, that's all good. I'm not going to make the context as confused and as impossible for you to figure out as possible as I could, so that you don't know, so I can test to see how good your Greek is. I want you to read the Bible. So if that helps you figure it out, then that's all good, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah? Okay? So this is where we're going. We're trying to read the Bible. That's our number one goal, so that we can get to know God better through His Word, right? And so everything's going to be focused on that. So there won't be much, if any, English to Greek translation. We're not going to focus a whole stack on that. We're not going to focus on talking Greek to each other. We're not going to focus on weirdo sentences that have nothing to do with the Bible. We're going to be trying to read the Bible, right? That's what we want to do, okay? So just hope for that help clarify. Okay, now, we started off looking at Greek. What are we going to get to here? We started our sentence here. Here it is. Steve, Derek, busy. Got a job to do. Now realise how important you are. Hand sanitizer. Quick. Make sure we're all COVID safe. Someone said to me the other day, I fear this ball is going to be a lawsuit. Steve threw a ball to Derek, right? Nice and easy. Oh, it's getting slippery now. It's all right. What's up? It'll dry. It'll dry very quickly. Steve, what? We don't have a screen. We've got to fix that up. Why do we not have a screen? Is Jody's head going to pop up from behind there again, or is he gone? Where's our screen? On. That sounds like a bibbed. On. Steve threw a ball to Derek, right? Okay, we started off looking at English grammar, nice and simple. The action here is the action, through. There's the action right there. And that's the verb. It's the main part of the sentence. And we just started spending a bit of time looking at Greek verbs and realizing that Greek verbs are a lot more clever than English verbs are, right? Because Greek verbs, every Greek verb contains within it both person and number, right? The verb itself tells you who did it. Well, whether I did it or you did it or he, she, or it did it, right? Or they did it or we did it or whatever it is, right? It's all in there, okay? And that makes Greek verbs very clever. And the way Greek verbs tell you that information is by, how do they do it? They change the endings, right? They change the endings. And so we get a conjugation, we get a paradigm that we need to learn, right? And does anybody want to have a crack at telling us the luo paradigm that we've just met? We only just met it. It's okay. You don't know. You're not expected to know it by now. Does anyone want to try? What's the first one? Let's do it together. What's the first one? Luo. What's the second one? Luais. Luai. Luomen. Luete. Luusen. Excellent. And then just before the break, again, this just sort of happened, and I don't think we appreciated it enough. You didn't appreciate it enough. I didn't appreciate you enough. I appreciate you lots, right? You didn't appreciate me enough, right? Just before the break, you were translating Greek words, right? You were doing it. Translating Greek words. Put it up there, and you were figuring out how to translate those Greek words. And you did a great job of it, right? That's really exciting. Okay, but now we want to turn our attention to the nouns for a second. Oh, I need my glasses. Please tell me that's not us. That's not our fire alarm, is it? Charlotte, can you just run into like the main building or something and just hear whether that's louder in there and whether there's people running around like crazy over there? Quickly. Okay, we've seen that. We looked at that. Now, we've seen that in English, word order is everything. Yeah? Word order is everything in English. English goes subject, verb, object. Always. That's the way English sentences are set up. And we learnt some big words for those. If it's a subject noun, then what case is it? The nominative case. If the noun is the direct object, then it's the accusative case. And if it's an indirect object, then it's the dative case. Excellent work. Okay, now, that's 3 cases. There are 5 cases. We'll get to the others later. Don't worry about it. I've told you how clever you are, and it's up on the screen. You guys are all cheating. Hey? I thought you were all so clever, and it's right there behind me. All right. But just like with Greek verbs, there's a few more things we need to know about Greek nouns as well. So let's have a focus now on nouns. You with me? We've moved away from verb world for a second, and we're in noun world now. Let's think about nouns together. And just like with verbs, though, Greek nouns are a lot more clever than English is. The noun in English stays the same no matter what it does. Is that us or not? It's Ford House, is it? Yeah. We're okay. They're burning down. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Nouns in English stay the same no matter what, right? So if Steve threw the ball, that's fine. It's just Steve. If Derek threw the ball to Steve, it's still just Steve. If Derek threw Steve, it's still just Steve, right? The noun doesn't change at all. It's exactly the same. Whether it's the subject, whether it's the direct object, whether it's the indirect object, it's just Steve, right? But Greek's a lot more clever than that, right? And Greek nouns change similarly to the way that Greek verbs change, right? So every single noun in Greek has got a couple of different things going on. Firstly, they've got number as well. So the noun tells you whether it's singular or whether it's plural. Yeah? Noun tells you whether it's singular or whether it's plural. Greek nouns will also tell you what case they are. These cases are going to be important to us in a second. Greek nouns will all tell you what case they are, whether they're singular or plural. And there's one other thing that Greek nouns have that English nouns don't have, and that is gender. Now, we noticed it a little bit in our game earlier, but in Greek, let me get this up for you. Oh, yeah, that's what I want. I've got this, but for today's purpose, we're going to just leave the dative and the indirect object for a while. Okay, we'll come back to it tomorrow. So we're just going to focus on the nominative and the accusative for now. All right? Let's just do that for the moment. So every single Greek noun it's got a case, right? Could be nominative, could be accusative, could be dative. We've hidden that one. We're going to come back to it tomorrow. There's 2 other cases we haven't met yet. We'll get there, don't worry. But nominative, accusative, we're going to focus on. It's got a number. It could be singular or it could be plural. Yeah? But it's also got a gender. Right? The noun is either a masculine noun, a feminine noun, or a neuter noun. The noun is either a masculine noun, a feminine noun, or a neuter noun. Every noun fits into one of those three categories: masculine, feminine, or neuter. Realize that those words are just grammatical words about nouns, right? They've got nothing to do with being manly or feminine or anything like that, right? It's not what John Luke isn't. Right? Okay? They're just categories. It's not like every masculine noun's got anything to do with men, or every feminine noun's got anything to do with women. It's got nothing to do with that at all. They're just grammatical categories. Okay? We looked at logos yesterday. It means word. It's a masculine noun, right? But there's no reason why. I mean, we all know the ladies are much better at talking than men are, right? Which is useless at speaking. So it's got nothing to do with anything like that, right? They're just categories. But every Greek noun has got case, number, and gender. Case, number, and gender, right? And when we come across a Greek noun, we're trying to figure that out. What case is it? What number is it? What gender is it? Right? We're going to figure that out. That's going to be important to us every time we come across a Greek noun. But every Greek noun's got gender in it. Now, there's nothing like gender in English nouns. We don't have gender at all in English nouns. It's not a factor, doesn't play into English at all. There are lots of languages that do have gender, though. French. Who speaks French here? Anyone speak French? No West African brothers here, or sisters here. Okay, French, German, like a lot of those European languages have gender in their words, but English doesn't. Do any languages that any of you speak have gender? Does Afrikaans have gender? I don't think it does it? Yeah? No? I don't think it does. So this is a new concept to all of us, right? This idea of gender, of categories. So let's just slow down for a bit and let's talk about this gender kind of idea for a little bit. Before we do that, let's look at logos, and then we'll come back and we'll look at this gender a little bit more. So let's start with logos for a second. Every noun tells you its case, number, and gender. And it does it in a very similar way to the way that the verbs work. The way it tells us what case and number it has particularly is by changing the endings. Yeah? The way it tells you is by changing the endings. So here we have logos, and it's almost like what we have with our verbs here. Where have my pens gone? Like we have with the Dasco, we've got logos here, which has a stem and an ending, right? Logos got a stem and an ending as well. And so if we can change the endings, we can tell whether this is a nominative or accusative, whether it's single, whether it's plural, that kind of idea. So just like our verb, we're going to end up with a kind of table that looks something like this. Verbs conjugate, but nouns decline. It just doesn't really matter. It's just technical words. I like to say, how does it behave? That's all. That's what we're asking, right? How does it behave? How does it change? But how does logos decline? Because there's going to be a nominative singular form of logos, and then they're going to change the endings to give you an accusative singular form. And then there's going to be a nominative plural form, and then they're going to change the endings again to give you an accusative plural form, right? Just like we did with the verbs, we're going to change the endings of logos, and it's going to tell us then whether it's a nominative noun or whether it's an accusative noun or whether it's single or plural. We've got a couple of other blanks there that we're going to fill in over the next couple of days, but at the moment we're just focusing on nominative and accusatives, singulars and plurals. So how does logos decline? How does it change the endings to tell us this stuff? Well, this is how it does it. So logos is the nominative singular form of word. Logon, though, change the ending from os to on. Logon is the accusative singular form of logos. So in Greek, whether logos is whether the word is the subject or the object will change its form in Greek. If the word became flesh, then what's the word in that sentence? It's the subject of the verb, yeah? The word became flesh. Steve threw a ball. The word became flesh. It's the same sentence structure, isn't it? Yeah? So what's the verb in the word became flesh? What's the verb? Became, right? That's what it did. It became. What did it? What became? The word did. So the word is the subject, yes? So therefore the word is in the nominative case. So in Greek it would be logos. But if I said to you, I preached the word, now can you see it's changed its role in a sentence? Steve threw a ball, I preached the word. Okay, so what's the word in that sentence? What's the verb? The verb? Preached, right? I preached the word. Okay, that'd be the verb. What's the subject of that sentence? Yeah, Steve, I, still doing it, right? But what's the object in that sentence now? What was it that I preached? I preached the word. So now the word is the accusative case noun, yeah? It's the object. So if that sentence was written in Greek, it wouldn't be logos, it would be logon, yeah? Logon, because it's an accusative noun. It's the object noun now this time. And Greek changes the endings to tell you whether the noun is behaving as the subject or whether it's behaving as the object, yeah? This is Greek's way of doing it. And it can also tell us whether it's plural, nominative plural, logoi, or accusative plural, logus. Yeah? Logus. So logos, logon, logoi, logus. This is the paradigm, this is the pattern, this is how logos behaves, right? Just like luo is your verb friend, well, logos is your second declension masculine friend, right? Your second declension masculine friend. Now, some of you are shaking your head going, what on earth does that mean? What is he talking about? Okay, so let's come back to that in a second. I will explain that to you. But logos is your second declension masculine friend. So this is how logos declines. Well, part of it. You can see there's some blanks. We're going to fill them in. Okay? Logos, logon. If it's a nominative noun, if it's a subject noun in the sentence, it's going to be logos. If it's the object of the sentence, it's going to be logon. If there's lots of words, plural, that are the subject of the sentence, it'll be logoi. If it's lots of words, plural, that are the object of the sentence, it'll be logus. If it's the subject and the object, there's a different ending to tell you that. English, we don't do that, remember? How do we tell what's the subject and what's the object in English? Word order, right? The subject comes before the verb. The object comes after the verb. Well, Greek can do that too, but it's even more clever. It actually is there. It's coded in the ending of the word. It tells you explicitly, hi, I'm the subject. This is logos. It's got the nominative ending. It means it's the subject of the sentence. Or it's logon. It means it's the object of the sentence, right? Okay? Any questions? Where are we at here? Are you following me? Is it making sense? Yeah, Jotham.
Okay, so let's go back to the plural.
Yeah.
Could you give an example of a sentence where you use logoi and logos?
Yeah. Yep, of course. How about words jump out from the page at me? Okay? So, what's the verb in that sentence? Jump. What jumped? Words, plural. Words jumped out of the page to me. And so, then, if that was written in Greek, it would be logoi. Yeah? It's the subject. It's the thing that did the jumping. It's the subject, but it's a plural subject, words. Yeah? A sentence where we got there. Yeah, well, I'm speaking words to you all. Yeah? I'm speaking words to you all. What's the verb? Speaking. Who's doing it? Right? Steve is. And what is he speaking? He's speaking words. So therefore, words are the object of that sentence, plural. In which case, if that was written in Greek, that would be logus. Logus. Words plural. Yeah? Does that make sense, Joel? Awesome. Any other questions, comments? We want to make sure we got this right, right? We've got to make sure we're understanding it. Joseph, you with me? You with me? You look like you're about to ask a question. No? Yeah? Eh? No? You with me? Ed? Yeah. So it'd be log and there's the ending os. Yeah. Okay, so what am I talking about when I say second declension masculine nouns then? What on earth does that mean? Okay, let's try and figure that out. Every noun is either masculine, feminine, or neuter, right? I told you that. They're just categories, right? Every noun is either masculine, feminine, or neuter. But then within those three categories of masculine and feminine and neuter, we break up each one of those categories into three other groups, three subgroups. We call them first declension, second declension, and third declension. Okay? So we can have some nouns that are second declension masculine nouns. We can have some nouns that are first declension feminine nouns. We could have some nouns that are third declension neuter nouns, or whatever, right? Anywhere on that table. Each category, masculine, feminine, and neuter, is broken up into three subgroups. First declension, second declension, third declension. Now, these are just labels, okay? There's nothing tricky about this. They're just names for categories. That's all they are. They're just labels. We could, if we really wanted to, we could call them like the dog, cat, and fish nouns, and the red, blue, and green nouns if we want. And then we could talk about blue dog nouns and green cat nouns and red fish nouns or whatever, right? They're just categories, you understand? You understand what I'm saying? They don't mean anything necessarily. It's just a way of grouping words together. Masculine, first declensions. Neuter, third declension. Feminine, second declension, whatever. It's just a way of getting words and grouping them together. And the reason why we do that, well, let's have a look at this for a second, because logos, we just said, was what did I say logos was? Second declension masculine, right? So logos, logos belongs there, right? Look at the title here. Every Greek noun fits somewhere on this table. Every Greek noun fits somewhere on this table. So logos fits here. This is where it belongs. It belongs on the second declension masculine group. That's where it belongs. Second declension masculine group. Every Greek noun belongs somewhere on the table. You need to be able to play, you know that old kids game, pin the tail on the donkey or something like that, right? You need to be able to play, pin the noun onto this table. Whatever noun you're learning, you should know where it belongs on this table, what group it belongs to. And it's really important why. And the reason why is this. This is what's really important. The reason why is because every single second declension masculine noun, for instance, behaves exactly the same as each other. Right? That's why we're grouping them together. Right? So it's just a way of categorizing different groups of nouns that behave the same way. There's lots of different categories and lots of different ways of doing it, but they all just, each one inside any of these boxes behaves the same way. So if I know that whatever noun I'm looking at is a second declension masculine noun, then I know that it behaves exactly like logos behaves. So all I need to do is learn how logos behaves, and then I know how every single second declension masculine noun behaves. Are you with me? Right? This is what these boxes are. They're just categories. that say, okay, second declension masculine is a way of saying this noun behaves exactly like logos does, right? Because they all behave the same. So go back to page 29 of Duff again. And when you learnt your vocab last night, you realise Duff says to you that there are 14 nouns that decline like logos. Yeah? What he's saying to you here are 14 second declension masculine nouns, right? They all those nouns that you just learned, all 14 of those nouns, they all belong in this box, right? They all belong in this box. They all behave like logos behaves. They're all logos-like nouns, yeah? And that's why I was saying to you last night, and again, I want to repeat it to you. That's why it's so important to learn your vocab in their groups and keep those groups together. Because you don't just need to learn that artos means bread. You need to learn artos means bread and it's a logos type word. Artos means bread and it's a second declension masculine noun word. Artos means bread, and if I was to take it and stick it on this table where it belongs, I'd put it in that box there, because that's the box it belongs to. Yeah? Artos means bread, and it behaves exactly like logos behaves. Because then all I need to do is just learn how logos behaves, and I know how all the words on that page, all those 14 words that you learned in your vocab last night, I know how all of them behave, because they all belong in that box. Does that make sense? So it's really important to learn your vocab, not just what it means, but where it belongs. Yeah? In this box. Josh.
I wanted to ask you, is there a special way of learning this Western communication, or while reading the vocab, does it tell us if it's first, second, or third?
No, you've got to learn it. You've got to learn it through your vocab. Because sometimes we're going to grow up, as we progress, you're going to see that there are some words that want to try and trick you, that look like they belong in this group but don't belong in that group. The only way you can learn it is by learning your vocab. The only way you can learn it is by learning where each word belongs on that table. Yeah? So every single noun that you learn, you should be able to say, this noun, vocab word, it means this, and it belongs somewhere on that table. Yeah, you with me? You should be able to identify where any noun belongs on that table. Because once you do that, then you know exactly how it behaves. And then when you're out in the wild, right, and you come across this word out in the wild and you're looking at how it behaves, then you can get all the information from it, right? It'll tell you whether it's the accusative or whether it's the nominative or whether it's singular or plural. But if you don't know how it behaves, then you don't know how to read that. You don't know how to interpret that, yeah? Okay? Every single noun fits somewhere on this table. So you need to know not just what the noun means, but where it belongs. And all the 14 nouns that you learnt last night belong in this logos group here, right? This second declension masculine noun group. Logos. Yeah. No, don't be sorry.
Just going back, still trying to understand, firstly, the logos is masculine because it's a nominative singular.
No, it's masculine because we just said it was.
Oh, okay.
It's masculine because it's in this group. Yeah.
So do they tell us what's masculine and what's feminine and what's...
Who's they? Does Duff tell you that logos is a masculine noun? I think he does, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he does. But he doesn't talk as much about these first and second declensions as I'd like him to. But I'm helping you try and understand what Duff's doing better. Duff doesn't have this table for you. Everyone who learns Greek should have this table, but Duff doesn't. All right? So I'm trying to help you understand what's going on better. I'm hoping when you sit through my classes, I help you understand stuff and you go back and you read Duff and you go, oh, that's what Duff was talking about. Geez, I'm so glad I had Steve to explain that to me because this doesn't make any sense from what Duff's doing. All right? That's the way this is working. That's why I don't want you reading the chapters before class, right? Because then you just get confused. Don't do that. Let me help you understand what's going on and then go back and read it after class, yeah? That's the way this is supposed to work. That's my job. My job is to make Duff easy for you. If all we're doing is going through Duff, then anybody can do that. Turn to page 32, read the page, do the exercises at the bottom, right? And that's boring. That's not what I'm here to do. My job is to try and make all that easy for you, as easy as possible. Okay? By doing stuff like this, because this isn't in Duff, right? Okay? So this is what we're doing, right? Every noun fits somewhere on that table, and you can understand why now, I hope, right? Because each one of those different groups behaves in a different way, but all the words in that group all behave the same. So every word that belongs here behaves exactly like logos. There is another group over here and another group over here, and we're going to meet all these different groups. But at the moment, we're just meeting logos as our first group, yeah? And all the words we met last night, they belong there. They behave the same as logos behaves. Okay. So let's see if we can try to figure out a few of these nouns then. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. You've got that. You've written it down. Do we need to say it? I think we need to say it. Do we need to stand up? I think we need to stand up. Stand up, stretch your legs, stretch your lungs, engage brain. It's hot. I know. This is the beginning of our logos paradigm, yeah? It's just the beginning of it. There's gaps. You can see that there. I've deliberately left holes for you so that you know that there's more stuff that's going to be filled in there. We're going to come back to it and fill in those tomorrow. But just let's take it little steps at a time, right? Okay? So at the moment, we've got logos, logon, logoi, logus. You ready? Let's say it together. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Tell the mountain. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Tell the ocean. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. While you're telling the ocean, just wave at the camera there, because you're all turning around and staring right at the camera. Hi, camera, hey. All right, okay. So let's do a couple. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. So how about that as an example? Nomon. Talk to me about that word. What does it mean, and what case and number is it? Yes, Jasmine. Well, just give everybody 30 seconds to try and figure it out themselves. What does it mean, first? What's the vocab word hiding behind it? And what case and number is it? Okay, Jasmine, you want to tell us this one? What does it mean? Law. And what's the case and number? Nice. Nomos is accusative singular. Nomon is accusative singular. Comes from nomos, meaning law. Yeah? Excellent. Jasmine, while you're there, if it's accusative, what does that mean its job is in the sentence? What's its role in the sentence? It's the object of the sentence. Excellent. Can you come up with a sentence that you just make up that has law as the object of the sentence in the singular form? Study the law. You should study the law. Excellent. Great. That's a great thing. What's the verb? Study. Who should do it? You should do it. And what should you study? The object? Law. Nomon. Yeah? Excellent work. Let's do another one. Artoi. What does it mean? What's the vocab word hiding behind it? And what case and number is it? Give you a second to figure it out. Okay, Gift, you wanted to tell us. What's the vocab word hiding behind it? Artos, which means? Bread. And what case and number is it telling us it is because of its ending? Nominative plural. Excellent, right? Because it behaves exactly like logos does, and it goes logos, logon, logoi, logus. Nominative plural. Okay, breads. Plural. It's a bit of a weird word. We don't really use that in English. Which one? Breads? Loaves of bread, yeah. Loaves of bread would probably be a better English translation than breads. Gift, you want to come up with a sentence for us that has loaves of bread? Oh, well, firstly, if it's in the nominative case, you told me it was nominative plural. If it's in the nominative case, what does that tell you? What job, what role is it playing in the sentence? It's the subject. Okay, so can you come up with a sentence, it's just a random sentence that you make up, that has loaves of bread as the subject? The bread's fed thousands, right? Loaves of bread fed thousands. Excellent. Okay, the verb is fed. What fed? The loaves of bread fed, right? And that would be artoi, right? Nominative plural. Making sense? Let's do another one. No, well done. Nominative plural, artos, bread. Oikos. What's the vocab word that's hiding behind it? Oikos. The vocab word hiding behind it is? House. The vocab word hiding behind it is oikos. It's not hiding very well. It's like when you play hide and seek with 3-year-olds. It's like, you can't see me. Oikos. It means house, yeah. And what's the ending telling us? Nominative and singular. Okay, so it's the nominative singular form of oikos, which means house. If it's the nominative form, Josh, then what role is it playing in the sentence? If it's nominative, then it's the subject, yeah? Okay, excellent. Do you want to make up a sentence that has the house as the subject of the sentence? Just some random sentence? Okay, the house has been broken down. Excellent. The house is a subject. What's been broken down? The house has been broken down. The house is a subject, right? The house is breaking down or burning down or whatever. That's all a great sentence. That would be oikos in Greek, right? You're seeing how this works? Yeah? You're with me so far? Okay, cool. Now that we've got that down pat, and we've got our verbs down pat, now we can start working on some simple, basic Greek sentences. Okay? Subject, verb, object, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. But now we've got some nouns, now we've got some verbs, some nominative and accusative nouns. We can start making some simple little sentences. Remember though, we've learned this already because we've already started translating simple Greek sentences. Greek doesn't need to have a nominative noun. The subject, who's doing the verb, is just in the verb, right? So Greek can do it all by itself. It doesn't need to have a nominative noun. So for instance, let's have a think about this for a second. Simple Greek sentence. Ekousin nomon. Now, just give you a heads up, don't want to scare you, but now you're not just translating a Greek word, you're translating a Greek sentence. This is exciting, right? Right? Okay? So the first thing you do when you translate Greek sentences is always go to the verb. Always try to find the verb. So what's the verb in this sentence? Which one of them's a verb? Ekousen. How do you know ekousen is the verb? Because of your vocab, right? Because you've learnt your vocab and you know your verb endings. You know it from your luo paradigm and you know echo from your vocab. And so you recognize that's the verb. Right? Can you see how important it is to learn your vocab? Right? Okay? Got to learn your vocab. But yeah, ekousen is my verb. So, what do we know about this verb then? What's the vocab word hiding behind it? Echo, which means I have or I hold. Yeah? Who has a mnemonic for us? How did they remember echo? Anybody came up with some way in their mind to remember echo is I have, I hold? Is what? Okay, perfect. Must be derived similarly then. Excellent. Okay, so echo is I have, I hold. What's the ending though? Tell me. Usen. What ending's that? Luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. So it's the third person plural. So I'm going to translate ekousen as they have. They have or they hold. Yeah, they have. Let's go with they have. And then I've got nomon. What case is it? What case is it? Accusative. And because it's accusative, therefore it must be, what role does it play in the sentence? It's the object of the sentence if it's the accusative noun. So what do they have? They have a law, right? They have a law. A law. This is a good time to talk about that. They have a law. Okay? There's that Greek sentence. Translated. Done. You just translated a whole Greek sentence, people. Oh, that's way too... that's lovely. What are we, at the Wimbledon or something like that? Or at the golf? You just translated a Greek sentence! Come on! Come on! It's like not even lunchtime on day 2. Yesterday you didn't even know the alphabet, and now you're translating Greek sentences, for crying out loud. All right, okay, they have a law. This is a good time to talk about this, right? In English, we have what we call an indefinite article, a, or an sometimes as well, right? And we have a definite article, the. It's a ball, or it's the ball, right? It's a God, or it's the God, right? It's an apple, or it's the apple, right? Okay, we've got an indefinite article, a, and we have a definite article, the, right? Greek does not have an indefinite article. Greek doesn't have a word for a, right? It doesn't have it. It has the definite article. It has the word for the. We're going to meet it this afternoon, all right? But it doesn't have an indefinite article. It doesn't have an a. If it's an indefinite, if it's not definite, they just leave it blank, right? They just leave it out. Why do I need to have an indefinite article? I've got a definite article, so if I don't have a definite article, then it's indefinite, right? It's not entirely true, but you get what I'm saying. So Greek doesn't have an a. So we have to add it for the sentence to make sense in English, right? So if it's not there, if it doesn't have a definite article, and you don't know what the definite article looks like yet, we haven't met it. We'll meet it this afternoon. But because we haven't met it, it's not there, right? So because it's not there, we haven't met it, and it's not in this sentence, we're going to translate that not as they have the law, we wouldn't do that. We just translate it as they have a law. Yeah? They have a law. Because there's no word for a in Greek. They just leave it blank. Yeah? Does that make sense? So they have a law. That's a perfectly good Greek sentence. Right? And you guys just translated it. That's pretty awesome. So you can have a Greek sentence. Notice this. This is a perfectly good Greek sentence. You can have a Greek sentence that doesn't have a nominative noun in it. Right? It doesn't have an explicit nominative noun as the subject. Because Greek words are so clever, Greek verbs are so clever, that the verb contains within it person and number. It contains something about the subject within the verb itself, right? So it could just be left like that. They have a law. That's a perfectly good English, Greek sentence. But often, far more often than not, Greek will have an explicit subject as well. It'll have a nominative noun in it that tells you, hey, this is the subject of the sentence. So let's go one more time. And let's have a look at this sentence then. Another Greek sentence that you're about to translate. You guys blow my mind. How do you go from not knowing the alphabet to translating sentences in one day? Less than a day. Give that man some lollies. All right, it's a Greek sentence. You're trying to translate it. So what's the first thing you do? First thing you do when you come to try and translate a Greek sentence is find the verb. Okay? That's the first thing you do. You don't... No, don't worry about it. Find the verb. That's the first thing you do. Okay? So where's the verb in this sentence? Eke is the verb in this sentence. How do you know that eke is the verb, erekai? How do you know that erekai is the verb in this sentence? How do you know that? Because your vocab. Because you recognize that it's echo, and you learn it in your vocab, and echo is a luo-like verb, and you recognize that I ending, that a ending, as the verb ending. You know it because of your vocab. Can you see how important it is to learn your vocab? You got to, because you go out in the wild, you're going to find these things out, right? You got to figure it out. Okay, so echo is my verb. So I go to my verb first. What's the vocab word hiding behind the verb? It's echo. And what does echo mean? I have, I hold. We just talked about it, right? Okay, what's the ending tell me though? It's ekai. So it's luo, luais, luai. Ah, there it is. So that means it must be third person singular. Okay. So how do we translate third person singular? How would I translate ekai? He, she, or it has. Right? He, she, or it has. But now I'm going to ask myself, this is the next step I'm going to take. I'm going to ask myself, because it's third person singular, it could be he, it could be she, it could be it. Now I'm asking myself, does the sentence tell me who he, she, or it is? Right? Are we explicitly told who the subject of the verb is? Does the sentence tell me who he, she, or it is? I'm asking, does the sentence have a nominative noun? Does the sentence have a subject noun? I keep hearing yes, yes, yes to all my questions. Yes, it does. Which one is the nominative noun in this sentence? Uranos is. Yeah, because it's got the nominative ending. Logos is nominative singular. Uranos is a nominative noun. So what does Uranos mean? Heaven. So this sentence says, not just that he, she, or it has, but now we've been told explicitly who he, she, or it is. Who's he, she, or it in this sentence? Heaven is, yeah. So heaven has angels, plural, yeah? Accusative plural, us, that accusative plural ending. Heaven has angels. Can you see how this works? Now that we're here, let me highlight something else to you. Oh, let me give you the answer there. Well done. Now that we've got an explicit subject, now that we have a nominative noun in my sentence, whoa, my nominative noun and my verb have to agree with each other. Greek likes agreement. Everything has to work together. Everything has to be aligned. So when I've got a nominative noun and I've got my verb, I've always got a verb because every sentence needs a verb. The nominative noun and the verb have to agree with each other. And what I mean by that is, if I've got a single verb, yeah, then I better have a singular nominative noun, yeah? Because that means they're in agreement with each other. If I had a plural verb, then I better have a plural nominative noun, yeah? because it'd have to be in agreement with each other. I can't have a singular nominative noun and a plural verb. That just doesn't work, right? That's out of kilter. Greek likes agreement. Everything has to align. Everything has to agree with each other. Singular verbs take singular nominative nouns. Plural verbs take plural nominative nouns, because Greek likes agreement. Greek likes agreement. Yeah.
What if the noun is accusative singular? What would the
Well, the accusative doesn't matter, right? Because heaven can have angels, or heaven can just have an angel as well. It doesn't matter, right? So the accusative noun can be singular or plural. That's fine. That doesn't matter for the verb, because I can I don't know what I can do lots of different things. I can throw a ball, or I can throw lots of balls. All right? I'm still throwing, and it's the I and the throw that need to agree with each other. How many balls I throw has got nothing to do with it, yeah? So it's the subject and the verb that need to agree with each other. It's the nominative noun and the verb that need to agree with each other. Single verbs take single nominative nouns. Plural verbs take plural nominative nouns. Greek likes agreement. We do this in English as well, right? We do this all the time. We just don't think about it as much, and we're not as explicit about it. We just kind of do it naturally. So I'd say something like, he sees the beach, but then I'd say, they see the beach. Yeah, I don't say they sees the beach. Like I changed from sees for the singular to see for the plural. He sees, they see. Right? We changed from those two things because in English we like agreement too, but it's just not as explicit as it is in Greek, right? And it doesn't always change as easily as that. That's just an example that come off the top of my head, but not every verb changes like that. Whereas in Greek, every verb works like that, and every nominative noun has to work like that too. Right? Much more explicit in Greek. Greek likes agreement. Yeah. Singular nominative nouns with singular verbs. Plural nominative nouns, plural verbs. Yeah? That makes sense? Good. Okay. Now this is where it starts getting... Oh, let's do one more. Let's do one more. Give you a minute to try and, I'll give you a minute to try and just translate this Greek sentence for yourself. Look at you guys, smashing it out. Okay, give you a little bit more time. Some people still working on it. Okay, what's the first thing you do when you come to try and translate a Greek sentence? Find your verb. Right. What verb have we got here? Blepe is my verb. How do you know it's a verb? Because of your vocab. Right, are you getting this? Right, and it comes from learning your vocab. It's the only way you do it. Okay, you learn your vocab, you start recognizing your verbs, right? Blepe is my verb. What's the vocab word hiding behind blepe? Yeah, blepo. I see. Yeah. And what's the ending tell me? Blepo, blepais, blepai. Third person singular. So it's he, she, or it sees. But does my sentence tell me who he, she, or it is? Is there a nominative noun? That's what I'm asking. Is there a subject? Yes, there is. And it is adelphos, which means a brother. So, a brother sees, what do they see? A house. And that's in the accusative case, right? Oikon. A brother sees a house. That's the sentence, right? That's how you're going to translate it. Not the brother sees the house. No this. There's no this here. We're just going to, we haven't met the. We'll meet the later this afternoon, right? At the moment, we're just still a. A brother sees a house. Okay? Is everybody happy with that? Anybody get anything different to that? Yeah? What did you get, Jonathan?
I was a bit lost on how to test the C. So initially I had brother has seen a house.
Okay, a brother is seeing a house. Is that what you said?
I said has seen. Is seeing is what you're saying?
Is seeing. Keep it in the present tense. Don't make it in the past tense at the moment. Yeah, not has seen, but is seeing or sees. Yeah. At the moment, everything we're doing is just in the present tense. Yeah. Yeah. Households. Well, not households. Definitely not plural. Yeah. A brother sees a household. Yes, you can say that because oikos from your vocab was house or household. Okay? Cool. That's fine. Okay, cool. Excellent. Now, a brother sees a house. Well done. Now, are you ready for this? This is where this is all been heading towards, right? This is where we've been moving to. This is the magic moment that this is the crescendo of this great concert of Greek that we've been learning so far. Are you ready for this? Because this is where it gets really, really exciting. This is where Greek is so much better and so much cleverer than English is, right? Because in English, it's subject, verb, object, right? And every single sentence we've been translating so far in Greek is like that too. But in Greek, word order doesn't matter. In Greek, word order doesn't matter. Because which one of those words is the subject? Which one? Just the Greek word. Which one of those Greek words is the subject in that sentence? Adelphos is. How do you know it's the subject? Because it's a nominative noun. It's got the nominative ending. Yeah? You don't know that that's the subject because it happens to be before the verb. Not in Greek. You know it's the subject because it's got a nominative ending. And it's screaming to you saying, I'm a nominative noun. I'm the subject here, people. Right? So word order doesn't matter. Because we've been told which word plays what role in that sentence by all the cases. So if I had a sentence in Greek that said, blepe adelphos oikon, how am I going to translate that? I'm going to translate that as, a brother sees a house. Isn't that different, right? Because word order doesn't matter. Okay? This is still the subject because it's a nominative noun. Doesn't matter where I put it. It's a nominative noun. And that's an accusative noun. So it's always going to be the object. Doesn't matter where I put it. This is so awesome, right? Greek's so cool. Word order doesn't matter. I could say oikon adelphos blepe. And I'd still translate that sentence as a brother sees a house. Because word order doesn't matter. Because the subject of this sentence is the nominative noun. And the nominative noun is here. It tells me I'm a nominative noun, people. Right? And this one says I'm an accusative noun because of the endings. So this sentence is a brother sees a house too. It's exactly the same. Because word order doesn't matter in Greek. Because Greek doesn't tell you who the subject is and who the object is by putting it before the verb or after the verb, like we do in English. Greek tells you who the subject is and who the object is by changing the endings. And it's explicit, and it's there. It doesn't matter where the word is. I could say this. I could say adelphos oikon blepe. It doesn't matter. I could say any of those. And all of those sentences would be translated exactly the same. A brother sees a house. Can you see how cool that is? Word order doesn't matter in Greek. That's English's problem, but it's not Greek's problem, right? Word order doesn't matter in Greek. This is where it gets so awesome. This is where your mind's just something just went boom. Wow. That's so cool, right? Okay? Word order doesn't matter in Greek. That's what's so fantastic about it. Now, what that means is that Greek can do whatever it wants. It can put the words in whatever order it wants to put it in. And by doing that, actually, you can change the focus, you can change the nuance of your sentence, of what you think is important. You can front end things to put emphasis onto things. So it's nuanced in a way that English just can't appreciate. These are some of the things that you pick up when you read in high definition the Bible for yourself. So if I'm writing the sentence, adelphos blepe oikon, if I'm saying a brother sees a house, then, the natural way I might say it is adelphos blepe oikon. But if I want to focus on the fact, if I want you to focus on the fact that the brother sees the house, he saw it. Can you believe it? This is amazing. He'd never seen a house before in his life. That's the first time he saw a house. Then I can write blepe adelphos oikon. I can put blepe right up the front. I can put the word of see right up the front, and I can put the emphasis on it if I want to. Or if I want to focus on the fact that it was a house that he saw. He didn't just saw a sheep or a dog or a car. He saw a house. Then I can front end house right up the front of the sentence. And I can move it there because Greek's flexible. Doesn't matter. Word order doesn't matter in Greek. You see? The sentence is still telling you the same thing, but there's emphasis and there's nuance in there that you can get into Greek that you can't in English because the word order dictates how you have to write the sentence in English. You can't change it. But Greek, word order doesn't matter, right? Word order doesn't matter. I can put my subject wherever I want in the sentence. And I can put my object wherever I want. I can put the verb wherever I want. Because what the subject is, what the object is told to us by the endings of the nouns, not by its place in the sentence. Yeah? Boom. All right? Mind explosion. This is awesome, right? This is what's so cool about Greek. This is one of the things that's really clever and really awesome about it. Word order doesn't matter. All of those are exactly the same. Questions, comments, thoughts? Yes. No. Doing here, not putting hand up. Nothing. This all makes perfect sense to you. There is nothing that's not confusing. Or it makes so little sense that you don't even know what question to ask. One of the two. Or still digesting. Okay. Digest away.
Okay, so
Yeah.
would it mean that if I was reading a particular text in my Bible and I looked at a sentence like that one, by seeing whether it starts with Theopos or the day, I'll be able to know what the writer was trying to get me to focus on?
Yeah, I think that's generally the right thing to think about. Although, once you start reading and reading and reading, you're getting better and you're more fluent and you're reading more and you're reading all the time, then you start realizing that there's ways that Greek sort of just goes about doing things, the natural way an author would speak or something like that. So it's not like that every sentence, it's not like, Steve threw the ball to Derek, Derek went down to the beach, Derek had lunch, Derek came back to class. It's not like, if I'm saying that, it's not like, Steve threw the ball to Derek. Derek went to the beach. Derek had lunch. It's not like we're emphasizing every single word just because it's the front word of the sentence. So it's a bit like that in Greek as well. You get to nuance and stuff like that. But then you'll read and you're like, yep, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense, that's normal, yeah. Oh, that's a really weird way to structure that sentence. Is there a reason why the author's put that verb right up the front of the sentence or not? Yeah, I think there is. I think he's trying to highlight that, that kind of thing. Rather than the first word of every single sentence is the one that's supposed to be stressed, that kind of idea. But there's the flexibility to be able to do that in Greek that you just don't have in English. Because word order doesn't matter. Okay, well, what I want you to do then is I want you to get your duff out. And I want you to find exercise 2.3.3. I don't know what page it's on. Which one? 26. So you're on page 26. Exercises 2.3.3, pretty much down the bottom of page 26, bottom third there. And there's 27, yeah, sorry, page 27. The bottom third there, 2.3.3, page 27. And there's a whole stack of little sentences there, just like the little sentences we're working on. Okay, so I want you to work on them. Let's spend the next 20 minutes before lunch getting through as many of those practice sentences as you can. Put your hand up if you're stuck, if you've got a question, and I will wander around. Usually I'd say turn with the person next to you and work on them together and chat about it, but we're not supposed to do that, so you just have to work by yourself. And then, it's all quiet and you feel like it's an exam, and it's not really. It's supposed to just be fun, interactive, working on exercises, so don't panic.